Hello everyone, welcome back to PrepBee, and today we are doing yet another episode of VARC. First, let's cover one RC, followed by 4 questions, and then few VA. Alright, so let's get started. Many human phenomena and characteristics such as behavior, beliefs, economies, genes, ये सब मत पढ़ो तो भी चलेगा. They are influenced by geographic factors and non-geographic factors. तो जो भी human phenomena है, they are influenced by what? Geographic and non-geographic factors. This is your first line. Geographic factors का क्या मतलब है? Physical and biological factors tied to geographic location. Including what? Climate हो गया, distribution of the wild plant, animal species, what the flora, fauna is, how the soil is, what is the topography. All of this comes under your geographical factors. Now, non-geographical factors include what? Those factors subsumed under the term culture and other factors that are subsumed under the term history, decisions made by individuals. All these are your non-geographical factors. Now, the differences between the current economies of North and South Korea cannot be attributed to the most environmental differences between them. They are instead due to entirely to the different government policies. So they are trying to say that the differences between the North and South Korea is not because of any geographical region. Because see, location-wise, geographical features-wise, उनमें ज़्यादा difference नहीं है. Why are they entirely different? Because of the government policies there. So at the opposite extreme, the Inuit and the other traditional people living in the north of Arctic cycle, they developed what? Warm fur clothes, but no agriculture. While equatorial lowland people, they never developed warm fur clothes, but often but what did they develop? They developed agriculture. So Arctic culture में इतनी मतलब Arctic circle में इतनी ठंडी होती है कि they had to develop warm fur clothes. Equatorial people, they never cared about warm fur clothes. All they did was agriculture. क्यों? Because geographical factors. The explanation is straightforwardly geographic, rather than any cultural or historical work unrelated to geography. All right. Now, Aboriginal Australia remained the sole continent occupied only by hunter-gatherers and with no indigenous farming or herding. Here, the explanation is biogeographic. The Australian continent has no domesticable native animal species and few domesticable native plant species. Instead, the crops and domestic animals that now make Australia a food and wool exporter are all non-native, mainly Eurasian species such as sheep, wheat, and grapes brought by Australia by overseas colonists. Now they are saying that in Australia, everything that is there, uh, there is lack of agriculture and lack of herding, and that is now attributed to biological geography. That is, Australia, they lack domesticable species. So, Australia's agricultural success today is due to something that was introduced by Eurasian species that are not native Australian resources. Now, today, no scholar would be silly enough to deny that culture, history, and individual choices play a big role in human phenomena. We all agree how important these three things are. So, scholars they don't react to cultural, historical, or individual agent explanations by denouncing cultural determinism, historical or individual determinism, and then thinking no further. But many scholars do react to an explanation invoking excuse me some geographic role by denouncing geographic determinism. So here, the author asserts that it's universally accepted today that history, culture, and individual choices they influence human behavior and social development. So scholars they don't reject explanations based on culture or history as overly deterministic. But with geographic explanations, they do believe that they are very deterministic. So what the author is actually trying to suggest here is that these days the scholars they recognize the cultural, historical, and individual factors that shape the behavior of humans, while they still allow room for change, nuance, and agency. Right. So they explore how these cultural differences they interact with individual choices, and then they come to a more balanced understanding. They don't simply neglect it by saying that it is determinism, right? That is something that is bound to happen. Now, so here the passage here notes a double standard where scholars they often dismiss geographic explanations as deterministic, but they accept other deterministic explanations. Now, several reasons may underlie this widespread but nonsensical view. One reason is that some geographic explanations advanced a century ago were racist, thereby causing all geographic explanations to become tainted by racist associations in the minds of many scholars other than geographers. So one reason for this bias can be that geographic explanations were historically misused to justify racism, leading scholars to distrust them even now. Now, but many genetic, historical, psychological, and anthropological explanations advanced a century ago were also racist. Yet the validity of newer, non-racist, genetic, etc. explanations is accepted today. So the author argues that other fields also had racist ideas in the past, but now we were able to move past it and accept new things, unlike something for geography. Another reason for reflex rejection of geographic explanation is that historians have a tradition in their discipline of stressing the role of contingency, a favorite word among historians, based on individual decisions and chance. Often that view is warranted. Now, what here the author is trying to say is that another reason scholars may reject geographic explanation is because history often emphasizes the role of chance and individual decisions. Right. But often too, this view is unwarranted. The development of warm fur clothes among that Inuit living north of Arctic Circle was not because one influential leader persuaded other Inuit in 1783 to adopt it for no good environment reason. Mhm. Now, this Arctic example, it reinforces that some adaptations, like the warm clothing ones, they are not due to personal choice. कि मुझे warm clothes बनाने हैं या मुझे agriculture करना है इसलिए नहीं. These are environmental necessity. A third reason is that geographic explanations usually depend on detailed technical facts of geography and other fields of scholarship. Most historians and economists don't acquire that detailed knowledge as part of their training. Third reason for rejection of geographical explanation is that they require specialized training that people don't possess. One reason is what? एक तो bias है, दूसरा reason हो गया तुम्हारा ये कि you don't have a choice. It is an environmental necessity. And third is these people they don't have detailed knowledge. All of the following can be inferred except agricultural practices changed drastically after it was colonized. Yes, it is given. Individual diktat and contingency were not the causal factors, but the use of fur clothing in some very cold climates. Individual diktat नहीं था तुम्हारा वो environmental necessity था, right? While most human phenomena result from culture and individual choice, some have biogeographic regions. They're not saying that most have this reason. कुछ का ये है नहीं. दोनों हैं बोलते. Several academic studies of human phenomena in the past involved racist interpretations. दिया रखा है bias. All of the following are advanced by the author as reasons why non-geographers disregard geographic influences on the human phenomenon, except एक उनका bias आ गया, दूसरा ट्रेनिंग नहीं है उनके पास, एंड थर्ड इज कि यू डोंट हैव चॉइस, इंडिविजुअल चॉइस या कॉन्टिजेंसी नहीं होता, वो बस एनवायरमेंटल चेंजेस होते हैं. नाउ dismissal of explanations that involve geographical causes for human behavior कहीं नहीं दिया है. Let's hold on to this. Belief that the central role of humans unrelated to physical surroundings in influencing phenomena. Yes, it is belief in the central role of humans that is unrelated to physical surroundings in influencing phenomena. Lingering impressions of past geographical reasons that were political offensive bias. Yes. Disciplinary training, which typically does not include technical knowledge. Yes. The first is your answer. Now, the example of the Inuit and original Australians were offered to show how environmental factors lead to comparatively divergent paths in livelihood and development. Divergent path की बात नहीं हुई है. Human resourcefulness across cultures in adapting to their surroundings. They are more likely they are trying to show that geographic and non-geographic factors are the reasons. So human resourcefulness is a wrong one. How physical circumstances can dictate human behaviors? Yes. How the Inuit ones तो वो लोग warm fur clothes बनाते थे, इनके पास species नहीं थे. That despite geographic isolation, traditional societies were self-sufficient. इसकी बात ही नहीं है. Now, the author criticizes scholars who are not geographers for all of the reasons except the rejection of the role of biogeographic factors in social and cultural phenomenon. Yes, they fail to include this. That outdated interpretations of past cultural and historical phenomena. ये कहीं नहीं दिया है कि इनके interpretations outdated हैं. Their labeling of geographic explanations are deterministic, वो बोला है. Importance they place on the role of individual decisions when studying human phenomenon, right? So second is your answer. The sentence is that discovery helps to explain archaeological similarities between the Paleolithic people of China, Japan, and Americas. The researchers also uncovered an unexpected genetic link between Native Americans and Japanese people. During the deglaciation period, another group branched out from the northern coast of China and traveled to Japan. We were surprised to find that ancestral source also contributed to the Japanese gene pool, especially in the indigenous anus, says Lee. They shared similarities in how they crafted stem projectile points for arrowheads and spears. This suggests that the Pleistocene connection among the Americans, China, and Japan were not confined to culture but also genetics. See, here this suggests what is this? And America, China, and Japan दे रखा है, यहाँ भी वही दे रखा है, तो वही यहाँ पे आ जाएगा तुम्हारा. Now, we have to find out the odd sentence. Having an appreciation for the working of other people's mind is considered a prerequisite for natural language acquisition, strategic social interaction, reflexive thought, and moral judgment. Okay, it is a theory of mind, though some scholars prefer calling it mentalizing or mind reading, which is important for developing of cognitive abilities. Though we must speculate about its evolutionary origin, we do have indications that the capacity evolved sometime over the last few million years. Okay, this capacity, something linked, develops from early beginnings in the first year of life of adults fast and then effortlessly and often effortless understanding of others' thoughts, feelings, and intentions. One of the most fascinating human capacity is the ability to perceive and interpret other people's behavior in terms of their mental stress. So 5, 4, 3 to linked them. Now let's say 2 and 1. Having an appreciation for the working of other people's mind is considered a prerequisite for natural language acquisition, strategic social interaction, reflexive thought, and moral judgment. It is a theory of mind, though some scholars prefer it to call mentalizing or mind reading, which is important for development of cognitive abilities. Mind reading की बात नहीं हो रही है. It's just how we can interpret other people's behavior. So this is some distortion of fact. Now, what precisely are the unusual elements that make a particular case so attractive to a certain kind of audience? It might be. It है तो शुरू तो नहीं होगा. It might be a particularly savage or unfathomable level of depravity. Very often, it has something to do with the precise unfathomable level of depravity. Very often, it has something to do with the precise amount of mystery involved. Unsolved and perhaps unsolvable cases offer something that ordinary murder doesn't. Why are some cases destined for perpetual re-examination and others locked in permanent obscurity? So 4 is introducing their paragraph. Then it says that there is obscurity. Right. Then they are talking about unusual elements. So 4.1 is your link. After 4.1, it is asking a question and The answer is given in 2. So 4, 1, 2, and 3. Also, guys, if you have any passage that you're unable to, uh, read, get answers to, send us on Telegram. Or is there any past paper that you're unable to solve? Just tell us and we'll solve it for you. So do comment on the chat box and please let us know. Thank you.